have other questions or comments you'd like to leave, please do that. Feel free. Sue will be happy to record them. Give me a second.
Sit the camera when I sit down here.
Oh, the video is just to pick up the audio, so don't worry that, I mean, I don't even have it aimed any particular way. It's just supplemental audio. Sue does a great job, but in case we miss anything, okay? All right. Like I said, our first group of questions have to do with the current program guide. What do you like about the current program guide design? Are there things you like about it? Things you think work?
I like the color. For some reason, it's much easier to read. I don't know if it's necessarily the pink or if it's bright, but the color inside is much easier to read.
Okay.
As opposed to the green.
Yes.
I had complaints about the green.
Okay.
Isn't it crazy?
Good to
I
know.
couldn't read it for some reason.
Good to know.
But I agree, when I opened up this one, this time the pink did pop out. I never use pink, I don't know what it is, but it popped out.
Yeah. Just so people aren't confused, we're using winter today as just our sample, and our new one coming out, delivery begins Thursday, has a sort of a deep pink, and it does pop. I agree with you. Anything else that you particularly like about the current design?
I like the map in the back. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
I love the map too.
I love
Yeah.
that little.
Yes, I think it's good that we list some programs progressively, even though they might not be next to one another. That's proven to be, I think, very helpful to participants.
Yep, I agree. Like here's the progression, here's the next step. Yeah. Okay.
I like that a lot of the facility stuff is always right in the front. Like beach and golf are always, you know, right where to go.
Right, we're good for those. Yeah. Okay. All right. Tell us how you use, we're asking you the same questions we asked our external user. You may have a little different slant on them being an internal user. Okay? Tell us how you use the hard copy program guide when registering for programs. So when registering for programs might not make sense unless you do register for programs. So tell us how you use the hard copy.
I rip out the waiver and in the form to kind of get started.
Yep.
And start jotting down what maybe registering the kids for.
Yep.
When I do my first review, I kind of dog ear it.
Yes.
And then I go back.
Yep.
And really pull what we're going to register for.
I would say because there are things in every section that I would go from front to back. It's not like you would, you could zero in on, on going right to adult something or another, because those things could be in multiple places for
Yes.
the age group. So it really is a front to back, because the front's going to have special events, and that could be appropriate as well. So it really was front to back.
Yeah.
I hand it to my wife. It's much easier to show her, some of the programs as opposed to jumping online and going through it that way. At least for us.
Yes.
And I didn't probably get to the online part, but I do use the online guide as well, but after I've reviewed the hard copy.
Yep.
Because then I know where to go.
We did hear that a lot from our external
I
customers.
think if you're browsing, you have to have the hard copy. You can't, you know what you want already, you can go to the online.
Yes.
But for just sitting and looking and browsing, getting ideas and stuff like that.
Yeah, I treat it kind of like a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I pick it up and peruse it every so often. It stays kind of in the house.
That's a shelf life.
Yeah. So it's not like it's my, I go through looking for certain things, but then I will go back and re-look and find things I didn't see before.
Okay. Do you use the virtual program guide? No. Yes.
Yeah.
As a backup
Exactly.
to your hard copy.
Exactly.
I find myself using this.
Yeah,
hard
we heard
copy.
that a lot. Okay. We want to know your opinion on some specific features of the current program guide that you may not have thought about previously. Okay? They're little pieces of the whole. Do you use the program guide index to locate programs within the program guide?
Yes.
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 But it can be frustrating.
Yes.
Yes. We did hear that too.
Naperville is soccer, really.
Or it seems like some of the pullouts, so if it was a senior class, maybe it's in a different section. It's not,
Yes.
it's not A to Z,
Right. Right.
and you have to know what you're looking for. It's better than it used to be when we had some of the names of the classes were really different, but it is confusing still.
And the type is rather small.
Yeah. How useful is the map provided in the program guide?
Very useful.
Very.
Extremely useful. I know.
Yeah.
Very.
Yes.
Alright.
But you know what, can I say something? I
Yeah.
still find it
Absolutely.
hard. I love
Yes.
that they now have like 5D, so you can kind of see it
I like
larger.
that too. Yeah.
But if this is me talking, I have learned and memorized because I had to.
Yes.
I get a lot of people, well, where is that school?
Exactly.
I don't know, and then you have to kind of think, well, where do you live? Your main, you know, you have to kind of walk it through.
Yes.
It's not really user-friendly to everyone.
Exactly. We've heard everything from, I carried it in my car all through soccer. You know, yes, I use it all the time. To other people saying they prefer like driving directions on MapQuest. You know, once they have an address, they go that way because they find the map hard to read. So.
But that's what's nice about it. We give the address.
Yes.
It makes it that much easier for those people.
Yeah.
Pop it in your GPS and go.
Yes.
Because I don't think a lot of them use it to get there. They use it to decide, like especially with soccer
Is it
and
too far
t-ball.
north?
Yes, well,
Yeah.
there's 3. I don't know where any of these parks are. Can you tell me where the parks are?
Yes.
Now it's a little more user-friendly to be able to say, get your map out, this is where.
Yeah. This location is very important to that customer. All right. Do you find the fonts currently in use make the program guide readable? Do you have any difficulty with fonts?
The only issue I've had was just a couple weeks ago when we were making copies for the coaches, coach pitch t-ball coaches, so in the spring guide,
Yes.
it didn't copy, the titles of the programs didn't copy over very well. You couldn't make it dark enough in
Okay.
order to see them. I mean, you really have to hold it to your face in order to see it.
Okay.
And that's because paint doesn't Xerox very well.
Okay. Are the tabs printed on the side of each program guide page useful?
Yes.
Go ahead.
If you had it where it was grouped on your age or everything together, and that some of it's here, some of it's here, so I get confused trying to find things for people. The age group thing I think would work easier.
We did hear that some from our external customer as well. Yeah, they thought grouping by age would make it easier to find things.
I don't know, has anybody ever had done it where instead of doing grades, have the age?
Can you talk about grades a little bit?
Just as far as why we do grades?
Yes.
Honestly, it goes back long before me, but I have to believe soccer has something to do with that. And we're one of the few, all the club teams go by age, U10, U8, U12. We're one of the few that do it by grade. And my best answer is because we've always done it that way. To switch it over now, it would be a huge change. Not that we couldn't do that, but I have a feeling soccer drives the fact that we go by grades quite a bit. But there really isn't, I don't see a rhyme or reason, because you look at it, and some basketball programs are by age, some are by grade.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there's any one reason why it's one way or the other.
I think that's putting all the basketball either.
Yes, we've heard that too.
I don't know.
Well, and I'm of the opposite mindset as far as the groupings go. selfishly because I have athletics and it's very easy for people to find athletics. You know, you just look through there and find the class for your age or grade. But I can see the benefit to going strictly by ages.
And our external customer also told us, like, we have basketball in early childhood, we have basketball in youth, and they just thought, because many times they have more than one child,
Right.
and they all fall in that youth category, that it would be nice to see it grouped by age.
I've seen in the WDSRA and some other guides where there's an additional index where you've got your description here, but then maybe there's the one page, whether it's by location or just by Monday, here's all the classes, and it doesn't give you the description, but it's more of an additional
Listing.
index.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We've heard some of that too. Okay, are the headings at the top of each program guide page useful in your daily? Do you use those top headings?
I think
once
if
you
you
see,
know what
like-
you're looking for. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I know my
You know.
section,
Yes.
but if I was
Well, I
just
use
looking for my kids,
But I use
I
the
think it would
tabs
be
on the side,
difficult.
so I don't.
yeah.
Because the tabs stand out more.
Yep.
If it, for me, looking through it, if it had the athletics youth here and the athletics adult here, that would help.
Yes,
Right.
I agree.
I don't guess right.
It drives me crazy when you put in the gluten-free cook, the, and then you have to look it up under the,
Yeah.
instead of gluten.
Okay. So you get that distinction. How, at the top we say athletics youth,
Okay.
but down here we're only
Oh,
saying
yeah,
athletics.
yeah. I wrote something of that down, I understand.
Yes. Are the program guide page numbers located at the top of each page in the correct position for you?
No.
No.
Should be at the bottom.
Okay,
I like them at the top, I just would like them to be a little bigger.
okay. Anybody else have thoughts about page numbers?
I haven't got that fancy LASIK surgery yet like you did.
Does printing the program guide titles, tabs, page numbers, and call-out boxes in color draw your attention to them or make them stand out?
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty universal?
Yes.
And the colored boxes,
Yes,
or slightly shaded boxes. right?
yes. Would you like to see more photos in the program guide or fewer photos? Just whatever opinion you might have? Yes, photos, more pictures.
I like the photos better than the cartoons.
Yeah.
My only concern with pictures would be we're already 120 pages, you know, now it's
The balance,
200.
yeah, yeah. The external customer does like them, but doesn't necessarily make decisions based on them, is what we've learned so far. Okay, do the program guide descriptions provide enough information or not enough information?
I think for the most part they do.
It depends for me. I mean, I'm still learning a lot of the programs, but, you know, there's a lot that people ask me that
Yes,
I, you know, try to go into the course to see if there's special text from the
exactly,
program manager that, I mean, I wouldn't know where to send them for certain things.
yes,
Sometimes, programs that if the child turns the age of the first week,
yes.
they can register, but they'll have to call. That kind of, maybe that in
That would be good call-out box information. That would,
But then it's, on some programs that works, on some programs it
it
doesn't.
does. Anybody else have thoughts about descriptions? And be brutally honest. We're hearing from our external customer that for the most part, yes, but when they need supplemental information, they'll call. They're very complimentary of the staff in terms of being able to fill in the blanks for them.
I sometimes wonder, I mean, and just like going to this page and it just happens to have the gymnastics on the ice skating, it's so There's an awful lot of writing there. You wonder how much of that, do they really need all of that? So
Yes.
there's a fine line between.
Not enough and too much.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think on a page like that, believe it or not, the information, it's not that the information is good or bad, it's just the way it's printed on the page. It's so intense on the page.
So
That to me
text.
would be a perfect place for a photo. To kind of
Break it up.
break it up, lighten it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Or the thing where you go into the grids and you've got the one line darker and then the other
Yes.
line lighter, you know, because it really just
I look
catches your
at
eye and you feel like
This
you're reading
page
so
and
much
it's
better.
like,
Oh,
oh, it's just
my
like, oh
goodness.
my
Like
God.
reading the stock exchange.
Right, it's
Yeah.
too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Too many, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they read it, because it's great for us, because so often we'll get a call that says, what's the description? And I will open the thing, and it just in conversation, we'll pull all the key stuff out, and they're like, thank you so much. And I'm thinking,
It was
it's all
there.
right here. So as
Yeah.
a resource for me, yes, but I know what I'm looking for, and but
Yes.
when there's a lot of it there, I just think they get overwhelmed and just
Yes.
go.
All right. Anything else about descriptions?
Yes.
Okay, do the program guide titles provide enough or not enough information?
Can I tell you what I think is just stupid? And I
Yes.
have no problem saying this.
Yes.
Okay, why are we putting the name of the contract provider for yoga before the class? I want yoga. I don't care where it is, who's providing it. I'm looking at yoga, the time, and the course description. Luckily, USY is where I look for Y, towards the end of that section, but
Yes.
I think that's more for the program manager to group them all together, so that because when Jean looks at them in the system, she can get all the USYs together, where it's probably easier for her.
But we could still go
that's what it
yoga,
As-
USY.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then it's gonna put them all together.
Yes. Originally, we did that to group them and provide, if someone was looking for a north location and was familiar with it, they would know those were all together.
That's what makes it so hard. You're talking to the beginner, no matter what the program is, and then you're also trying to speak to, those people that have done it for
Who
a
are
long time
seasoned.
and know what they're looking for.
Yeah,
And I don't know that you can have it both ways.
yes. And you always try to speak to the brand new person. Make it simple enough that a new resident would be able to grasp what we're trying to communicate. Okay, that's
Can I
good
ask you a question?
information.
Do you think that we could, put it in the back under yoga and then list all the different yogas? Because it's hard, even from our standpoint,
Yeah.
somebody's looking for rugby. And is it called rugby? Is it called Let's Play Rugby? Is it called Rugby Day? It's hard to find. So if they're somebody look for soccer,
Yes.
they call and can't find it because it's under N.
Yes.
Okay,
But
is
could
it
it,
possible?
now everything's under martial arts, and then all the karate and safety karate and all of that.
Yes.
You kind of know,
That's a new wrinkle too, and
Like
I
a
think
sub-
that, yes, I hear what you're saying.
On
Yeah.
that same vein, can you cross-reference in the index for somebody like me who might not, like this toddler time, Sky Yoga, I would not know to look under Sky Yoga for toddler time, and I would probably, not ever find it that way.
Cross-referencing
But I don't
was
know.
mentioned a lot for the index, to make that
Because if they call and say,
easier
oh, I
for-
want to sign up for toddler time, and I don't know what that is, I wouldn't know to look under Sky Yoga for that.
Yes,
I don't know how, that's probably a lot of extra work, but.
yeah. But it's great feedback. Okay. Do you reference call-out boxes? Are they kind of lost on you?
I'm a little bit lost. There's a lot of them.
Yes, there are a lot of them. Our external customer did tell us that if they happen to be on that page, they do draw their attention. But sometimes the ones that are on that page don't really have anything to do with that page.
Right.
Yeah, they're more because we have a little space to fill.
The map to get to the warming house and all that was huge.
Yes, yes, that is huge.
Crazy.
Yeah. Are icons
Oh.
currently in use helpful and intuitive? The icons, those little circular icons.
Those, I think so.
Yes?
I do have a question though,
Sure.
and it just comes from being in the RCC. I have
Yes.
had people ask me with the feather and the lifting weight
Yes.
handle, a little more detail.
Yes. Yes, and we have heard that too, of those activity levels. They like that it's indicated that it's light, medium, or heavy, but what constitutes light activity, medium, and heavy? Yes, that's good. We also had our external customer tell us that a free icon would be of interest to them, to call out those free programs where there's not a registration fee. Thought that was
I haven't
wonderful.
seen any of them miss them.
We did have a customer say, you have free things? So, it's all in the eye of the beholder, as you know.
I do see we were looking at them like the circle ones, like the 95th Street Center. I mean, I'd really like.
Yes, we did hear that too, that
Yeah.
they were a little hard to read. Okay. Are you averse to advertising being part of the program guide? Did that cause any problems for anybody or?
Well, only when they ask me questions, like the baby boomer, what is it?
Do page boomers?
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah.
done.
Oh, that's gone, huh?
That's gone.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Good.
But you know,
Never mind, never mind.
this time, in this one, when you had the Let's Party here instead of an ad, when it was our ad, I really liked that.
Yeah.
I liked that it was our ad, not someone else's.
Okay. Does the number of ads in the program guide seem appropriate to you? You're fine with that? Okay. Does a published sponsorship or advertisement in the program guide influence your purchasing decisions?
Not at all. Didn't even notice it.
We're so inundated with advertising now anyway.
Right.
Yes.
You
Glaze
expect
over.
it now, yeah.
Right.
I get the necessity for it, so it doesn't get any boring.
But if you had coupons,
We heard that, and we did hear also that while an ad might not influence a purchasing decision on that part of the external customer, they really like knowing that there was support for the park district in the larger community. Okay. If you register for a program, do you reference your email confirmation receipt for critical information? Do you retain those? Do you pay attention to those?
Because if I have it on my smartphone and I forget, I just need to double check the time, I can open that attachment and look at it.
Yep, that's a good point.
And I use that for, when the kids are in day camp for the dependent care reimbursement.
Okay, all right. So there's another good reason.
And sometimes I forget the exact end date of the program.
Yes.
So it's nice to be able to refer to it.
Sure. All right. We had a customer that didn't realize we weren't doing blue cards anymore.
how many years has that been? Since I've been here.
It's been a while.
Yes, yeah.
This is kind of a lengthy question, but it's not a difficult one. How do you find out about new programs? If you're looking for something new, do you search the program guide cover to cover, or just look for the new icon in a particular section? Are you interested in finding out about new programs each season? How would you suggest making this information more readily accessible?
I really like the new thing.
The
because I'll-
new icon?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because then I'll well,
Maybe
it goes
pop-
for myself,
Yeah.
so I can talk about those. Whoops, there was something else you said. Oh, registration in progress, in the spring guide, you open up the spring guide, and the first 3 pages is registration in progress. Really? Did I miss all that the first time around?
Yep.
You do wonder sometimes when you look at them, why they're showing up so early. And then there's that too. I didn't notice that in winter, and here it is in spring, registration in progress.
Yeah, but the special events, especially the special events, it's all the winter, from the winter program guide, or the first few pages. And then we go into special events, and it's the Caroline Doggy Diz. And then that's it. I mean, there's really nothing special event.
It needs to be more clear.
There, I think we just need to address that, as program managers, when, I think,
There needs to be criteria set for,
Yes.
when we can do that, if it's bordering on a guide,
Yep.
2 guides or something.
yes. And there isn't much for spring, you're right, as far as events.
Maybe you could have a section that would be registration in progress. And have that, I don't know.
Well,
I think sometimes it's hard because as a program manager, you want to get the word out for your programs early enough. And people do sign up for like the Christmas special events. They do
Yes.
sign up for them early.
Yes.
And if we waited till mid-November, we wouldn't have time to promote them adequately.
And they would have signed up somewhere else with some other organization.
Yeah.
Same thing
Yeah.
applies with our leagues. People look
Yeah.
to sign up so early
Yes.
to find out what's going to take up most of their spring, that you want them to be able to do that in winter,
We want our programs to be a consideration for them, yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the spring guide has the most registration in progress though, I feel like, because there seems to be a lot more overlapping than when you have a program guide.
So back to the question of new programs. The icons are helpful to call those out.
I look at the program guide and I look at the ones that say new because I'm always interested in what's new.
Yes.
But if I'm really looking for something new, I go to the website. And I look at the website for what's the heading on the website, what's the best.
Taking up the rotator, yes. Okay. Anything else on new programming? Okay. The rest of our questions have to do with a future redesigned program guide. And we might have touched on some things we'd like to see in our previous conversation. So, what could we do from a redesign perspective to make the program guide better and easier to use? It's a broad question.
I think age order.
Yep.
I think that's
Age.
the biggest thing. And I don't use the program guide very much for myself.
Yes.
But when I was this winter looking for something for Elsie, for dance, I had to go through it 3 times to find what was in her age group because they had adult ballet and the teen classes and everything mixed up.
Yes.
And it was just very difficult. I've also had customers talk to me about certain classes they didn't know existed because it was in nature instead of early childhood
Yes.
or in culinary instead of youth.
Yes.
So it's hard, and I think it would also be easier for us to look at where our deficiencies are if it was age order. If we
Yes.
notice that, age group 9 to 12, we've got nothing except for sports or, whatever,
Yes.
that's where we need to focus on, but I think it's very hard to identify that the way it's laid
The
out.
way it's laid out.
I think a lot of times people are looking for, I need something for my
Or,
9-year-old.
right,
Yeah.
I don't
They
know
know
what it is,
they're
but
looking for,
Right.
but they know the age of their child, so it's
Yeah.
like, that's where it just starts right there with the age of the person, you know? They're probably missing out on a ton of stuff.
Yes.
That's just kind of, brought back further in the guide.
Go ahead.
And I know you're probably trying to close down on space, but could you cross-reference that way too? Like if you're looking through a catalog and you're in the jeans section, but you see a cool shirt with a pair of jeans, you think, oh, where's that? And then
See page.
such and such for this information. So if I'm looking in, because we've got soccer, we've got Little All-Star Soccer, we've got Superhero Soccer, and it is in 2 different places. We know to look for it. We know
Yes.
to tell them, oh, have you looked for this or that? But, you know, you don't know when you're looking through it. But if you did, you could look under soccer or you could look under the other, if you knew to look.
And
Yes.
I feel like athletics could be listed as their own heading, like if we do have all the soccer and basketball and whatever, I think that does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the rest of the programs really do need to be in age order.
Do you think then, in that case, we should pull, our Little All-Stars?
Yeah, I think it would have to be
all of it together.
right, if that's what you decided to do, because most people say they want soccer and they don't want to look all over the guide, but it's, I think the people like who are just looking for something on a Tuesday morning for their 3-year-old,
Yes.
they are not, as a busy parent, are not going to look through this whole guide and they're going to miss things. And I don't know
Yes.
how many phone calls I have gotten, and I'm sure you guys have gotten 10 times the number I have, where they say, there is nothing for my 3-year-old on Saturday morning. And then I pull out 5 things for them, but they didn't know because they were all in different places.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I think if we distribute athletics amongst the entire guide, we're gonna see a hit. And maybe not a hit to the bottom line, because maybe people find other things to sign up for because they're looking by age. But I think we will see a decline in some of the athletics participation.
So there are some things that need to be grouped, not
I don't-
necessarily
I
by.
don't necessarily agree with that, though. I mean, if someone's looking for athletics, they're gonna find the athletics they're looking for, and they're also gonna look across other programs,
But
so.
right now, if you go to athletics, you're looking strictly at athletics. You don't have some of those other programs coming into play. If you're looking by age, you may be looking for athletics, but you stumble on art and you sign up for art instead of athletics. So from my standpoint,
So Betty's
that's
getting the revenue
not
now, yeah.
positive. Oh, yeah, I don't care about
for me.
Let's not be confused. This is about me, my programs.
I'm looking big picture. I think as long as you're registering for programs, not necessarily
Right, and we're
product
gonna have
programs.
different opinions on that.
Well, and I think you can have different headings within the age group. So you say you've got
Isn't it
0
an
to
opinion? Isn't she looking
0 to
at
5.
Yes.
We have arts, athletics, whatever, fitness. You
Yes.
still need to have headings within those
Yes.
headings,
Yeah. As in the early childhood
subheadings. Yes, I
section.
think you still need to have because then if you list everything from 0 to 5 alphabetically, it's going to be a huge mess. I still think it needs some kind of
Right, division.
in
Yes.
the
Right,
thing. But if you know you're
clarify.
looking for 0 to 4, I mean, you have your section right there.
Yes. So if we went age and then had headings that said athletics for children in that age group, arts.
Color
Okay.
And then I think that
So
it would-
sort of switching a little bit
What's that?
from what we've done is promote the section over the age, now promote the age over the section.
Right.
5 different
And then,
And I think on our side, it would be very easy to switch that, and, I mean, it would be a lot of work, but it would be pretty easy to identify what the sections are and the
yes,
subsections.
yes, and we would need a,
I think we need someone kind of overlooking it though, to make sure things
Sure,
are in the appropriate
course.
sections, because I do think some things get placed
yes.
in the wrong
And
section.
does the guide have to be everything to everyone? I know we're trying, this is the biggest market, but maybe it's whatever format is decided on for the guide. But then
Yes.
there's supplemental, like grids online that you can direct people to when they do call for specific age group stuff or something.
Well, a missing piece of this is within class, and if we were a hosted website,
Uh-oh.
and we went to
Yes.
the next version of 7.2, you could do an age-related search. So part of this is
Yes,
within
search
Yes,
function
is
everything
dictated
is
by-
And if that was a better tool for us, that would all be there, and you could go in and do that.
And we can't go to 7.2 until we
it's
Give up the
part
reins,
of
let
being a
Posted
website.
remotely.
And we
Eventually,
are
they're not gonna
looking into
support us, so-
different, a couple of different options going forward as far as our registration software. But that's where that should all be, so that you don't have to make the program guide fit everyone. They should be able to go in and say, I'm looking for a 3-year-old class at 95th, and boom, and show up.
Well,
Yes.
that's what's hard with some of this process too, is like, this doesn't just all show up this way, there's
Right.
things that have to be done after the download that we're all handwriting in and shuffling around. There's only a certain amount of time to do all that.
Yes.
So the things about like refer to page 95, I love those ideas too, but I don't know if we're ever gonna get to that, because how you get all that in,
Yes, and
And
it
the amount
would
of
be a
time
last,
that all the
it would be
proofing-
a tail end
Yes, and
process.
that's what's always tough.
Once it's all laid
Those
out, then to
hurdles,
come
yeah.
up
that's
with
4
those
days.
cross-references.
And that would be, I think, the program managers
Yeah,
getting
we'd
together and
have to do
figuring
it.
that
There's no
out.
way
You
one
know, like if
person-
you're looking for babysitting
So-
during your gymnastics class, I need to know what Jean's got, or you know what I mean, or like a fitness
Exactly.
class during gymnastics, I need to know what she's doing to be able to do those kind of cross-references.
Yeah, and I think
And-
that's why some of that stuff gets lost. They're great ideas and they're really things that would probably help to tag this and that, but we are always barely getting it in the way it is. So to like have anything else with,
Right, and to
It's just
start
that's where you get
earlier
stuck.
is gonna be ridiculous
yeah,
too.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, I hear you.
yeah.
I think
Because then we
Katie's
don't
right,
have
we
that
gotta pick a direction and go with it.
Yeah.
You can't meet everyone's need.
Yes,
Honestly, I think we're in pretty good shape as it is, I don't think it's broken. Maybe others feel differently, and you guys will know, obviously, by talking to everyone, but it seems to work pretty well. And having looked at other districts, it's very similar to what most districts do. We have a couple tweaks to it, but
I was
And we
mixed
do
there
hear
because
both.
I had a parent that called and said, I have a 3-year-old, where are you gonna put her?
yes.
The moon? I
We
got
need to
so
do that,
so many of those I can do that,
Calls,
sir.
yes.
But that should be, I think what we're missing is that.
That the
Online,
customer's ability to do that search would be
Yeah.
helpful. And that's, there's a remote hosting issue
And when
and
we're
version
pushing,
issues.
when we're pushing people, to the website more and more about rainouts and cancellations and all that,
Mhm.
and we continually push the customer to that website,
Yes,
it kind of needs to be the website.
the mother.
Yeah.
The
it needs to be-
website has to be the mother. Because
Instead it's.
God forbid we send them there and they can't find it.
Well, again, it boils down to class, and are we, big picture, are we staying with class? Are we looking at other, providers based on cost? And, that's, to go hosted it's gonna be a big cost to that. So, I'm sure, looking at other options is something that's gonna happen. It may not be with class in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to identify who your main customers are.
Yes.
Because obviously Brock's and Gary's customers are different than mine,
Yes,
and maybe Beth's and Betty's, and we're just trying to make our programs be sold a little bit better.
sure,
And they get lost in the different sections.
yes,
So it's difficult, if we're looking at families.
yes.
I think age order works better. But I don't know.
Yeah, we heard that from our external customer because they're so overwhelmed by the sheer size of the public. They love it, but it's big and they don't have the time to devote to it,
Right.
the question I would have is if you split it by age, you look at programs like MYS, and are you gonna put the pre-K with that correct age group and then take first? So you make an exception for MYS, then you look at coach pitch, T-ball, machine pitch, you want those, and then girls
Yes.
softball, you want those listed progressively, you put them by age, or do you list them in order, and then you start making another exception, and people are right back where we started.
Exactly. And people didn't really mention this, but I've always thought, and I don't want to interject myself too much, but our signature programs like soccer, I've always thought,
Separate.
yes, they need to be in the front and very visible because a lot of the customers are going, they know that program.
Let's go with that.
Another thing we used to do,
Just do the first 10 pages out.
beyond our registration time frame was keep our preschool information in. But people register for preschool someone can move in June.
Yeah.
And then, you know, not to have that there every time doesn't make sense. So, you know, it's an evolution. So you're right, it's not gonna work. You know, age isn't going to be the preferred method of displaying some programs, whereas in others, it's gonna be great. So,
If you take a group like soccer that, you know, people specifically go to the program guide for soccer,
yes,
it makes sense to me to use it as a way to get people to look at the program guide past that. If you put it in the front, they wouldn't look, they wouldn't go.
there. That's a good
What
point.
about just in the middle and make it a colored page? All of soccer right in the middle of the book, and that way it's all here and it's their little, you know how you shade it?
Like a pull-out.
Like a pull-out, almost
Yeah.
like a rip it out, you know, it's a recipe
Yeah,
for dysfunction, you know.
Centerfold.
Yeah, centerfold.
Soccer centerfold.
There you go. That's where I was going with that. HR is in the room, yeah.
anybody else have suggestions for us?
Well, within early childhood, from the external groups, do they like it that within there it goes to, you know, I saw like one day fun,
Yes.
music, that type of thing, is that
Enrichment and-
useful?
You know, while they didn't mention that specifically, they did mention early childhood. They feel they can find things more easily
Okay.
there. And then when we hit youth, the lid comes off, you know?
And that was more my first time here. I couldn't figure out the guide when I first got here. It didn't make sense to me, so that's why I added those subheadings, because I
What's-
couldn't
It's
find
funny she
things.
says that, because when I mean, I've been here like 9 years now, and I remember the first time looking at this guide too, and I was like, I could not figure out the order of stuff, and I mean, it sounds so stupid, but I finally it dawned on me that it's all alphabetical, but that was never my experience. Everything was always age, you know, chronological, so it's like,
In your previous
It's-
experience.
yes.
Yes.
I mean, I was probably in the field 10 years before coming here, so to open up a guide and like not even understand how things were grouped,
Yes.
it was really kind of funny, you know, like,
Yeah.
how do I not know? But if I, you know, then what is someone who's just never seen a
Brand
guide? Yeah, picking it up thinking, you know.
Mhm.
And maybe I just was set in my ways too, a certain way, but I really,
But I don't think people register alphabetically.
No, I don't think they do either.
yeah, well, it goes back to the whole thing, like the, like why do you have the word the
Right,
and then
yeah.
have
Yes,
that at the
and
index
have to
and
try
you're
to
never gonna find
search.
anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And some of the titles are creative, you know, in early childhood, they need to be creative and fluffy and fun,
Right.
because that's what parents are looking for. But then sometimes
But you need to
people
know
don't
what
understand
that
what that
fluffy
is,
means.
you
Yeah,
know?
what it means.
yes,
Yeah.
how it's classified.
Well, we've
as a
talked
book.
about that before, that early childhood is fluffy, and then you get to the youth and older, and you're just more, the title is what it is, you know, basketball, or, you know.
Yes,
It's that,
And
they
it-
know what they're looking for, you know.
athletics for adults as well, you know, they
Right.
pretty much don't care about a cute title.
No,
They want to know if it's rugby or soccer or,
right. Have we ever, I know it costs a lot more money to do this, but have we talked about doing more than just the one color?
Full color.
Or the two, you know, the black and, because, you know, I know we've referenced Fox Valley before, and their guide, I mean, look at their,
yes,
you know, and then you go to their classes too, and they've got like that shading thing.
yes,
Where just people's eyes, I think, are, you know, can see things much clearer.
yes,
And then this was something a number of the managers have talked about for a while, each like little special event thing
how sad.
totally
Yes.
pops, because they package all of them,
Yep,
you know, but it's a lot of color, I can't even imagine what it costs.
Yeah, what is the
to produce
difference, roughly?
I couldn't really
Don't
tell
know.
you.
Okay.
I know it's more expensive unfortunately, but
Yeah.
those are the things we need to hear from you. If you think that could make a difference, you know,
I think
would.
subconsciously, it does, you know, people just see stuff, like see color and,
photos,
Yeah.
call out boxes.
yeah, you don't even realize that you're now, you know, focused in on that.
Well, I think especially in the special events.
Yeah,
This right here makes a huge difference.
yes,
Having it be in the color the way it is,
Yep.
yeah.
that just really,
As opposed to a black and white page.
Mhm.
I will
Yes.
tell you that the swim lessons at Centennial Beach
Yes.
are all in that shaded grid.
Yes,
Very easy, they come they know exactly
Yeah.
what they want, when they want it. It's a very simple, transition.
So you see from a
user
customer, yes, a user perspective, that it is making that easier for them.
I think it would help a lot in the special events area as well.
For those house ads, full
Right.
color.
Right, because I think it would make them pop a little bit more.
Yes.
And I think just me I like color and I like creative things, so I would probably pick it up and look through it more if it was more colorful and a little bit more eye-catching than what it is right now.
But I have one last thing that I
Of
said,
course.
but I do think I think they hit on right what's the target audience. Because the parent with the little ones,
Yes,
they don't have a clue what's going on.
exactly.
They need to be spoon-fed, here's the ages, this is what you've got to be able to do. Once they're beyond that, they can think. Then they know,
Yes.
I'm looking for soccer, where do I look for one? I mean, in here, we've got gym tigers and we've got gymnastics, and it's for kids 5 and 6. So who's losing? One area they know to look, they don't go to early childhood for that, I don't think, unless they have a kindergartner who's half day and they're looking to fill a spot.
Yes.
So but they're not the ones that are gonna look, they're the ones that call and go, ah,
Right.
the kids are screaming and.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
harder to help them, and if this is for them, then it's not working.
Yes.
So,
Very good input.
It's just a page.
Okay. Do you believe user testimonials would be helpful to you when deciding which programs to register for?
No, absolutely not.
I think the only impact it probably would have is maybe at the, for some of the active adult and senior programs, I think that's a generational thing. So I think in that area, and maybe in that specific pull-out guide that we have now for the seniors, that may be more effective. But in the general program guide, I don't know how effective that would be.
I always see those and wonder if it wasn't the company writing it.
That's the
Right,
thing, we're not gonna put
yeah.
negative in
Ringers.
there.
And you're gonna
4
pick your
stars,
best
read all
one.
reviews,
Yeah.
of course.
People would rather go to Yelp and see positive and
Yeah.
negative than just
Yeah.
Just positive?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Didn't have to pull that answer out of us.
Does the way the information, and we've touched on this, is organized within the program guide make sense to you? What are your suggestions for how to organize and deliver this information? So, one more time, if it were up to you,
Age order.
age,
Age and then the little subcategories,
With
similar to what
subheadings.
early childhood's doing now.
some programs that wouldn't be the optimum way, like NYS. Okay,
I would still have
grids,
special events in the front though.
I would too.
still have special events in the front, okay? Grids, we thought would be helpful to the customer.
There's one other thing that the way
Yep.
the summer camps guide,
Yes,
you know how we do the wraparounds? And I
Yes.
always gotta do them because of space, money and all this.
yes,
But like, the first page came out with Camp LOL and Camp F2F. And it's, it's kind of like, it's still got the wraparound. I can't remember
Yes.
exactly how it looks. And I know this is probably a behind the scenes thing, and this is why it doesn't show up this other way, but I just wanted to mention it, that, since it's just those two programs sharing that page,
Yes.
if there is any way, if it's easy, to make them both just the half page, like LOL goes on the top and F2F goes on the bottom.
yes,
So then it's got that whole package again,
exactly.
because even me looking at it, it just,
Or was it staying?
I don't
You know,
know.
if you've got
Yes.
kids in the 2 age groups and you're trying to match up, okay, what's this?
Exactly.
Just
And I
going like
think-
this
You're like
again, trying
this,
to
yeah.
figure out like where, does this camp belong with these dates and location, or what's
Yes.
going on here? And I just,
That'd be
again,
nice.
just the look of it with package, so I love the little,
Oh, me
how
too.
Ryan put the Monday through Friday on the bottom. I think that little, that's gonna be a great eye catcher, and I think a lot, if we did those things a lot more, I think it would,
Yes.
again, dry your eyes and,
Yes.
But yeah, just right now, I mean, if there was, I don't think a lot of other ones fall that way, but sometimes with that wraparound, if there's any way to get them more in a
Yes.
box or a half page reading across versus this,
I think there's an example too where an age progression would make sense. To start out with our camp for our older children or young adults, I mean, I think it should start
right,
with our youngest.
yes.
Day camps.
Yeah.
And then early childhood by age and Yeah.
I also think that it would help with like Jean's fitness classes to have like a 2-page layout of days and times of when fitness classes are going.
Like a calendar type?
Because if anyone's looking for a Saturday morning fitness class,
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it
You gotta dig,
hurts
it's
her.
too hard to dig through.
Yes.
And that's really for fitness. I mean, for fitness, I think that's the biggest thing is when
Grids.
people want fitness, they want to know what they can do Tuesday, Thursday nights, and Saturday mornings, or
When they
whatever.
have time available.
They're not just
Yes.
looking, I just think that that would help.
Yeah.
And I think that, a lot of other park districts do it that
The
way.
Woodbridge Park District's got a nice grid on that.
Okay.
It's, yeah,
As
that's
does
exactly it. You're looking
Yeah.
at the day, you
Bowling
look
Brook as
across,
well.
what the title is, what room it's in, what,
Yeah,
da-da-da-da-da.
so it's easy to fit to your schedule, the time you have available.
Yeah.
That customer I was talking about yesterday.
Yes, we had a customer, go ahead, Sue.
Oh, from the Y, they have that same sort.
Yeah, I think that's typical for fitness. I think we're missing the boat on that.
Yes.
And usually what they'll have is just a tiny little description on the bottom in correlation to, because usually the names, you know what the names
Yeah.
mean.
Yes.
For fitness, you know
Yeah.
what that is. So it'll have just a tiny little description on the bottom and maybe prices.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yes.
And I just think that that kills her not
Yes.
to have it laid out like that
Yeah.
for people.
Need a better-
The lady
Pull-outs and we'll be great.
who talked about the Y said there's also a drop-in feature, with Y classes. And I know Jean's tried to come up with some way to, but she said she finds herself in the car. The Y has a one-sheet thing she keeps in the car. If she's got a 2-hour chunk where a child is doing something and doesn't have to be picked up for a while, she can pull that out and go, hey, I could go do Zumba, or I could, So,
The trick with that though, as far as drop-in, is just because, like, if it's a Saturday
Yes.
drop-in, we don't
They're
have a staff, well, or they may have a membership, but even if to do a drop-in, they have a staff member that can take cash or
Yes.
credit card.
Just do a
We
punch
don't-
card.
Well,
Yeah,
in
a punch
one
card
week
would be-
you have one person and don't need 4 instructors, and the next week you have 32.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it makes
They
it
have a fitness
next to
center.
impossible to
Yes.
staff.
yeah, I can see that it would. And those would be issues for the rec department to, noodle out, but it was mentioned. Okay. Is there information not currently included in the program guide that you would like to see included? Are there things we're missing with this tool that we should include?
I don't know how you would ever do this, but this is just, again, like I think of, like, how do we reach these people? And a lot of times we always talk about location, we're trying to get the guide a certain way, but
Yes.
I don't know, maybe just the supplemental tools that we really focus on the neighborhoods and all that to give them that feel of something in their backyard, because ultimately that's what they want.
Yes, they do.
And I hope there's a way to, again, we're so huge, this guide is so huge. How do you start to figure out every single way of reaching these people? But
And there might be an icon solution to that, even if we start big with north, south, east,
Right.
west.
well, the grid too, how you should say like the 5D and all that. Maybe again, I don't know how you start to do all this before the deadline is over and done and it goes to the printer.
Yes.
But if there is maybe something like that, like the matching up things with. Because it is,
Here
it's
we
about
have the
location a lot.
location, and it says, wherever it is, and you have to look, and then you go back here to the index.
Right.
Yes.
And then you go
It's a
back
great
here.
tool, but yeah, you lose on
It's
that.
3 steps later, rather than maybe it's an F2 right there, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something, yeah.
Where we're trying to make the website one click. We're trying to make that a more convenient.
Now, I know soccer used to try to organize by
North to south.
north to south. Is that still the case? Or not?
Some.
Yeah.
It's a layout nightmare,
Right.
obviously,
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
class, you put it in a certain way and it doesn't
Come
print
out.
that way.
Right. Yeah.
You have to switch it by hand, so
Yeah.
it was very time intensive.
We've got the areas, we call the areas, not talking about like the 3D, grid and all that, but like, we've got, I don't know how many there are, 8 or something that we've sectioned it off into. I mean, internally, some of us know about that,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe we should internally be pushing that more and letting them know externally how we've
Yeah,
beat up the
that
town.
would make sense, we haven't
And maybe
seen them.
somehow, start educating them on that.
Yep.
Maybe that's how they could start looking at stuff.
So there's that
You're an NR.
one customer who
SDR.
said we should put the code of the grid or whatever on the program descriptions, right? So they
Yes.
could look right to the map.
So they have.
But then we have to educate them as to what they are.
Well,
We have to
So,
put those
hello,
in.
Mrs. Hool, you're 6.
You'd say just to find it,
it would just be in
What
the,
she's talking
yeah.
about.
not assign it to a person, but to assign it to the program, so
So
you can find the
Mhm.
program
classes
easier.
in the-
Yes,
Okay.
Would be right here, or
Okay.
school.
all really good food for thought as we think about
Yeah.
improvements. One more
They've all
question.
got smartphones.
Yeah.
I have sandwiches and I know it's early for lunch, and we're going to finish a little early. So Christina's bringing them down from the refrigerator and we're going to set them right here. There are bags if you want to take them with you. So please feel free, okay? All right, our final question.
Well, I didn't, I drilled.
Yeah. I got some dinner tonight.
I was like,
If articles,
oh, okay.
if articles about the Park District initiatives, events, and facilities were included, would you read them? Right now, we're currently depending on email to convey things like state of the Park District, 95th Street Center. I mean, of course, we have some hard copy to back that up, but we're usually reaching our database email to tell them about those things. So, do you think having those kinds of things included in the program guide would be a good idea, or just cloud the issue of the
Cloud
point
it.
is to register?
Well, don't you run the possibility of it being dated material then?
Yes.
I mean, it just,
Yes, yes you do. Yeah,
Yeah, she's right. How many people read the letter from Ray?
exactly. And we did have some external users, and you never know if they're being honest, but or they just want you to feel good, tell us that they do try to read that, but we do email that to them as well. So we're even thinking internally, if we're going to do that to our database, maybe it's taking up space that it really doesn't need to.
Because it's out on the web too, all
Yes.
those things. So.
Yes, right.
As much advertising that the marketing department did for 95th Street, and then you go to the schools right here, and they go, you've got what here?
Exactly. This Florida, Donna and I went to an event last Tuesday at Graham Elementary School, and it's off 111. It's way south.
But it's not across 59, I want you to know that. I tried to get her to go there one day, she wouldn't go.
And we were shocked, actually, because we did a mail piece, but I think it's indicative that people are so busy. You're telling this to a guy who's standing there with a 5-year-old and a baby and an infant carrier who probably couldn't tell you when they were born. I mean, there's so much information now. They're a lot of them overwhelmed, especially young families. And with us trying to, we may not be just making it as easy as possible for them, so.
We started that thing on the internet, where if they have never signed up before,
This is interesting.
they can fill out this sheet of paper, they can attach their City of Naperville water and electric bill, or their driver's license, or whatever they have to show proof of residency
Yes.
that we require. They email it, we get it, we put them in, and we send them their barcode PIN number. If we had that on this page here saying, you new to Naperville, fill this out
Yeah,
online.
yes.
I've gotten a dozen, and it's only been active.
It's Friday.
And there's a couple people that even sent in the change of phone number, their email address.
Change of address, I did a change of
No
address
change of
yesterday.
address, just their email and their
Did
phone
you
number
move?
was different.
I was working the front desk yesterday, I found it out.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, we are gonna call it out in the guide.
But those are all phone calls that we don't have to take.
Exactly.
On the day of registration.
Exactly, and it does speak to the customer, ease of, making it as easy as possible. Those are big steps forward.
Has there been any thought to golf being a pull-out section, especially with, when they put their lessons in, that's like spring through.
Yes, they do
that.
it once.
And
Yes.
it seems like that information, speaks to a certain group of people.
Yes.
And that to have all of that in a, not unlike maybe the senior thing, it's like, here's golf, here it is for golf for the whole season.
Yes.
Because I think that, to me, I just kind of like golf, and there's a lot
Yeah.
of information in there. But that speaks to a
Certain demographic.
yeah.
Well, has there been discussion about the timing and whether or not different types of guides are needed? Like maybe there needs to be a golf guide, or, we've got the camps guide that's separate.
A lot of people have been asking just for classes for 95th Street.
Yes.
Yes.
I've been here I'm not going anywhere else, I just wanna know what
No,
you
I
guys
just
is
wanna know
right
what's
here.
going on in this building.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of that.
And-
We've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think though, if you do that for them, you really, there will come a time when, right now, they're just looking at 95th, but if they have the whole guide to look at, they will see something that maybe will take them to another location. Some of our, like up off Knock Knolls to the new nature center going in up there.
Yes.
That's not so far from here, so I think that if you bow down to that, you're really cutting your nose off.
Giving them very narrowing.
Unless we do it at first, and
That would
just
be
to get
Yes.
people in the
It had to
building,
expire.
because just being
it's
here
new
and
to get
talking
things
to
off the
these
ground.
parents, they didn't know that this was going on when their other child was
Exactly.
upstairs and they could have taken this class,
Yes.
so it's not working in our favor to have things not spoon-fed to them at first.
Exactly.
It could be as
Exactly.
simple as 4 or 5 flyers stapled together, though. It doesn't have to be
Right. It's just
a guide per se.
And it also could be your screens out in the lobby that just speak to 95th Street.
Yep. And our
just what's-
icons too. I mean, it's another way.
The people at the RCC, with that screen up there, all the seniors stop and look and think, oh, look, that was so loud, doggone it, we missed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll go down and say, well, let's get that one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all there, all of Lorraine's trips are on there.
Mm-hmm. You can keep talking. I'm gonna go get those sandwiches because I know you probably want to take off. So does anybody, Sue will keep recording if you have comments. I'll be right back.
Same size, I just figured it out.
Yeah, right? I could go get one. Go get one and see.
Oh, it's the website. That works better too.
No, I'm talking about summer, summer,
Yes.
Summer is Oh yeah, I saw Chuck and Sean and I said, no, the security stuff is I said, talk to her. Especially since he obviously isn't concerned. Yeah, you're right. Just, I like it. Just your buttons, but
They're okay. I had a grade S.
It's burning my hand.
Like every Saturday, and I think you just
Battery
load
kids
up
are
offer the Saturday class you're going, we should have
whenever that doesn't happen, it's my face helps me to burn.
It's hard on a weeknight. And it's just a different kind of travel, like early childhood Saturday.
My pleasure. Thank you all so much for taking the time to help us like this. I think it'll help us all in the end. We're going to boil it down and make some recommendations, and the sandwiches are on their way. Okay?
9 to 12, and then like lunch thing, where basically the same.